Have you ever walked out of a conversation feeling like you just handed away a piece of yourself, but you can't explain why? Maybe you agreed to something that drained you. Maybe you apologized just to keep the peace, even though your heart screamed otherwise. Or maybe, just maybe, you've been carrying guilt, anxiety, or obligation that isn't even yours. That's not coincidence, that's emotional manipulation, and it doesn't always wear a villain's face. Sometimes it looks like charm. Sometimes it sounds like, "I'm just worried about you." Sometimes it hides in praise or silence, and sometimes it hides inside your own thoughts. In Buddhism, we're taught, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. But what if the thoughts inside your mind were never truly yours? In this video, we are not just unpacking manipulation, we are exposing it layer by layer through the lens of Buddhist clarity, emotional wisdom, and spiritual power. Because to reclaim your life, you must first reclaim your awareness. And by the end, I'll share a bonus insight that could transform every relationship you've ever had. If you only take one thing from this video, let it be this. The moment you begin to question the voice in your head, freedom begins. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Build a strong identity. Be the mountain, not the weather. Let me ask you something difficult but honest. Have you ever looked in the mirror and realized you didn't recognize the person staring back? Not physically, spiritually. Like you've been shaped by someone else's expectations, programmed by someone else's voice, and twisted into someone else's version of acceptable. And somewhere along the way, you disappeared. This is how manipulation begins, not with someone else's strength, but with your own absence. The Buddha once said, "Nothing can harm you as much as your own unguarded mind." It's not just about what people do to us. It's about what we forget to defend. Our identity, our values, our boundaries. When we lack those things, we become vulnerable, because we're weak, but because we've never been taught to anchor ourselves. Imagine a mountain, still, solid, unmoved. Storms rage around it, the sky darkens, the winds howl, but the mountain does not beg for the sun. It does not chase the clouds, it remains. That's what your inner self must become. Because when your identity is clear, no one can reshape you to fit their agenda. When your boundaries are firm, no one can guilt you into betraying your values. Manipulators don't always need to overpower you. Often, they just need you to doubt yourself. So how do we build that spiritual mountain? Step 1. Define who you are and who you are not. Write it down. Not just your dreams, but your non-negotiables. What you will not tolerate. What you will no longer apologize for. And what matters even when no one claps for it. Clarity is power. If you don't know who you are, the world will hand you roles to play and you'll accept them out of fear. Step 2. Spend time in solitude without the scroll. We're not talking about watching YouTube videos alone. Real solitude, silence, stillness, sitting with your breath and asking, "Who am I?" without their opinion. Because when you finally hear your own voice again, you begin to remember the truth. Step 3. Anchor your identity in values, not reactions. What do you stand for when you're not being watched? That's your real self. When someone praises you, does your identity expand? When someone criticizes you, does it collapse? If yes, that's not identity, that's dependency. You are not a puppet, and you were never meant to live for applause. A Buddhist reflection. A monk once asked the Buddha, "How do I remain unshaken in a world full of noise?" The Buddha replied, "Let the world shake. You remain still. Still, not passive. still not avoidant, still as in-rooted, and that's your power. The stronger your sense of self, the less you need to defend it. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing validation and start embodying truth. For the next 7 days, I invite you to do one thing. Spend 10 minutes alone each day. No phone, no mask, no noise, just presence. Ask, who am I, really? What is mine, and what have I been carrying that isn't? Because once you start living from truth instead of reaction, you become someone who can't be manipulated, not because you're hard, but because you are clear. Be the mountain. Let the weather come. You do not bend. Lesson 2. Master emotional self-control. Don't hand them the remote. Have you ever found yourself mid-argument, saying things you didn't mean, only to feel the heat of regret before your words even landed? Or maybe you were calm until someone pressed the exact button that lit a fire in your chest, and just like that, your peace was gone, your day hijacked, your mind no longer your own. That's not just frustration. That's emotional hijacking, and it's one of the oldest manipulation tactics there is. In Buddhist wisdom, we're taught, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Because in the very moment we lose control of our emotions, we lose our power. Now here's the part most people don't realize. Manipulators don't need to overpower you. They only need to trigger the part of you that hasn't healed. Your fear of being abandoned, your desperation to be understood, your hunger to be enough. That's what they poke, and if they can get a reaction, they can get control. Emotional mastery is not equal to suppression. This isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about recognizing this. When you react, you reveal your code. What makes you chase? What makes you fold? What makes you surrender? That's why your practice must be stillness, not for the sake of peace alone, but for clarity. Be the silent flame. It warms, it lights, but it doesn't flicker in the wind. How to build emotional self-control. Pause when triggered. Before you respond, breathe. Inhale slowly. Exhale fully. Create a pause wide enough for wisdom to enter. Ask yourself, is this emotion realer? Is it being provoked? If someone else is setting the tempo of your emotional state, it's not your mind, it's a borrowed one. Create a meditation habit. Start with 5 minutes daily, not to escape, but to observe. Watch your feelings rise like clouds and learn to let them pass. The more you witness your emotions without clinging, the less they own you. A Buddhist story. A student once asked a monk, "How do you stay so calm when people insult you?" The monk replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" That's the wisdom of non-reaction. Their anger, their guilt trips, their passive aggression, it doesn't have to become yours. Takeaway for lesson 2. Who's holding the emotional remote, them or you? Every pause is a step toward liberation. Every breath is a reminder that you choose who you become. Let others burn. You stay warm. Let others scream. You stay still. This is your mind. Guard it like a temple. Lesson 3. Reclaim your mind. Thoughts are not truth. Let's go even deeper. Have you ever replayed a conversation for hours, days, weeks? A tiny moment, but your mind kept spinning, analyzing, overthinking, as if your survival depended on getting it right. That's not insight, that's conditioning. And that's where manipulation creeps in silently. The Buddha taught, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. But here's the twist. What if most of your thoughts weren't truly yours? Think about it. That belief that you're only lovable if you're useful, that you must avoid conflict to stay safe, that you're responsible for how others feel. Were those truths or just inherited ideas? Passed down by culture, parents, trauma, or your past self? The mind as a gardener, a battlefield. Untrained, your mind is a battlefield where every manipulator can plant seeds. But cultivated, your mind becomes a sanctuaria, place where clarity, not chaos, takes root. Be the gardener. Not every thought deserves to grow. Start each morning with 10 minutes of mindful breathing. Then journal your most repetitive thoughts from the day. Ask, is this mini or was it planted by fear, guilt, or the need to belong? When you expose a lie, it loses its grip. Mental clarity equals manipulation immunity. People only control you when you believe what they say about you more than what you know about yourself. So strip the noise. Sharpen your awareness. Audit your thoughts the way a warrior polishes their blade, because the manipulator's power lives in your unquestioned thoughts. When the mind is reclaimed, the chains fall. Takeaway for lesson 3. Don't let thoughts run wild. Make them report to your truth. Don't be the one who thinks just to survive. Be the one who thinks to awaken, because once you see clearly nothing and no one can control you again. Lesson 4. Step away from what drains you, even if it hurts. Here's a hard truth most people avoid. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Not with drama, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Buddhism doesn't teach us to fight for peace. It teaches us to release what disturbs peace before it destroys us. Yet we often stay. In relationships that deplete us, in jobs that dehumanize us, in conversations that twist our soul into someone we're not. Why? Because we confuse guilt with love. We confuse obligation with worth. We confuse endurance with virtue. But staying in what breaks you isn't strength. Leaving is. Leaving what poisons your growth is the beginning of freedom. You don't owe anyone your suffering. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to beg for permission to choose peace. Your intuition is not paranoia. It's ancient wisdom. Honor it. If you feel your soul shrinking every time you're around them, that's not connection. That's contraction. Some people are lessons, not lifetimes. Some places are chapters, not destinies. Buddhist reminder: a lotus does not bloom by clinging to the mud. It rises through it. So must you. You don't need their closure. You need your distance. Leave with peace, not explanation. Let go of guilt. Let go of fixing them. Let go of who you had to become just to survive the environment. Walk toward peace. Even if you're trembling, even if it feels like failure, because choosing peace is the beginning of your power. Lesson 5. Think strategically, not emotionally. Let's be honest. How many times have you said yes when you meant no, just to avoid guilt? Or snapped in anger, only to hand over your power in the very moment you were trying to keep it? Manipulators don't win because they're stronger. They win because they're strategic and we're emotional. Buddhism reminds us, to understand everything is to forgive everything. But to forgive doesn't mean to tolerate. And it certainly doesn't mean to keep playing a game you were never meant to win. Be the chess player, not the pawn. When you react on impulse, you give away your playbook. But when you observe, when you pause, you become unreadable. The chess master doesn't move emotionally. They wait, they watch, they strike only when aligned. This is your power. Don't fight people. Study them. Ask yourself, is this person repeating a cycle? Are there kind words followed by control? Is their silence a form of manipulation? If yes, then stop engaging like it's real. Start planning like it's war. But not a war of revenge, a war of inner sovereignty. Onjud Buddhist reflection. One monk said, I no longer react to everything because not everything deserves my energy. That's not coldness, that's wisdom with boundaries. When your peace is your priority, drama becomes irrelevant. Takeaway for Lesson 5. If they know how to push your buttons, stop showing them where they are. Stop revealing your emotions to those who use them against you. Pause. Observe. Respond only when you've returned to clarity, not when your ego is trying to defend its wounds. Silence is not weakness. It's a strategy. Lesson 6. Reclaim the power of silence. Silence doesn't just confuse manipulators. It terrifies them. Why? Because control thrives on feedback. When you react, you validate their influence. But when you're silent, they're left alone with the sound of their own manipulation echoing back at them. In Buddhism, silence isn't absence, it's sacred presence. A monk once said, silence is the sleep that nourishes wisdom. The wisest among us are not always the ones who speak the most. They're the ones who listen the deepest and wait. The strength of stillness. Imagine a lake. The clouds move above it, storms pass, but the lake reflects, then returns to stillness. Be that lake, because manipulators need you to respond. They thrive when you explain, defend, justify. But what if you didn't? What if your silence spoke? I see through you, I just choose peace. That's when the mask slips. Not because you fought it, but because you didn't feed it. The practice of non-response. Try this. Next time someone pushes your emotional buttons, pause. Breathe. Don't react. Let them stew in the silence. Watch how quickly their game starts to unravel without your participation. Takeaway for Lesson 6. You don't have to speak to be powerful. You just have to stop explaining your peace to those who profit from your chaos. Let silence speak for you, because nothing disarms a manipulator faster than someone who refuses to play the game. Lesson 7. Detach from outcome and control. Here's the secret no manipulator wants you to know. They only control you when you need something from them. Approval, validation, closure, a sense of being good enough. That's where their leverage comes from. But what if you stopped needing what they were offering? Buddhism teaches the root of suffering is attachment. That's not just attachment to people. It's attachment to outcomes, to how things should go, to who should stay, to what should be fair. Freedom begins when you let go. A cloud does not beg the sky to be still. It moves, gracefully, lightly, free. Be that cloud. You'll never be truly free until you stop needing someone else's reaction to feel complete. Detachment is not equal to apathy. Let's be clear. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you give love freely, but don't beg for it. You offer your truth, but don't chase validation. You walk away not with bitterness, but with sovereignty. A reflection. Ask yourself, am I waiting for someone to give me closure? Do I need their apology to move on? Is my self-worth tied to how they treat me? If yes, it's time to cut the invisible thread that ties your peace to their permission. Takeaway for Lesson 7. Stop living for reactions. Start living from truth. The moment you let go of needing them to approve of you, they lose all power. You don't need their yes. You only need your own. Live light. Move free. The cloud doesn't cling, it flows. So should you. Lesson 8. Master the art of non-reaction. The power of the pause. Have you ever felt that inner burn when someone insulted you and you couldn't hold back? Or maybe they didn't say anything at all, they just withdrew, stayed silent, and suddenly you felt the desperate urge to chase their approval, to explain yourself, to prove your worth. That's not communication. That's a power game, and it works only when you react. In Buddhism, the space between stimulus and response is where liberation begins. A story tells of a monk who was insulted for hours by a traveller. When asked why he didn't react, the monk smiled and replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" This is the essence of non-reaction. You don't accept the gift of their chaos. You let it return to sender. Reaction is expensive, reserve it wisely. Reacting isn't strength. It's exposure. It gives people your emotional password, your triggers, your soft spots. But when you stop reacting, manipulators lose access to the control panel of your mind. How to practice non-reaction. Delay your response. Breathe before replying to any emotional bait. Ask yourself, does this deserve a responser? Is it just noise? Become the bamboo, flexible in movement, but deeply rooted. The wind moves the leaves, but not the roots. Let the words fly by like passing cars. You don't chase every horn. Why chase every insult? Takeaway for Lesson 8. The strongest person is the one who doesn't react just because someone else is loud. When you pause, you shift from being their puppet to becoming your own master. Let your stillness be your statement. Let your calm be the loudest answer in the room. Lesson 9. See through the illusion. Don't play their script. Manipulation rarely looks like manipulation. It wears a smile. It cries in front of you. It flatters and pleads. But what you're often looking at is not a persona, it's a performance. Buddhism teaches us all suffering begins from mistaken perception. Manipulators don't trap you with lies. They trap you with illusion stories crafted to provoke guilt, rescue responses, or self-doubt. Be the mirror, not the mask. A mirror reflects. It does not react. You don't need to become cold or cynical. You just need to pause and ask, am I being cast into a role right now? Is this a real emotion, a rehearsed pattern? Once you start recognizing the script, you stop playing your part. You stop being the rescuer, the fixer, the pleaser, and you start becoming the observer. Example from real life. Ever had someone say, "I can't live without you," right after treating you poorly? That's not affection, it's a hook. Their tears may be real, but the intention behind them isn't always clean. Don't confuse emotion with truth. Takeaway for Lesson 9. Most manipulation depends on your belief in their performance. When you see clearly, you walk off the stage. You no longer chase applause or fix actors who refuse to drop the mask. See it, don't absorb it, reflect it, then walk away from the theatre. Lesson 10. Strengthen your inner refuge. Become untouchable. Imagine a temple on a mountain. The wind howls. The thunder rolls. Yet inside the temple, there is stillness. That temple is at least, it can be. Buddhism teaches, Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This lesson is your final armor, to create an inner refuge that no storm can touch, no manipulator can enter, no outside noise can disturb. You are the temple. Guard it. Manipulation thrives in minds that are unprotected. If your peace depends on approval, it can be taken. If your confidence depends on praise, it can be shattered. If your self-worth is external, it will always be rented, never owned. But when you build inner sanctuary, you become sovereign. Daily practice to build your inner refuge. Morning silence. Start each day in stillness 5 minutes. Let the noise wait. Mindful habits. A walk, breathwork, or journaling something that centers you. Repeat this mantra. I am the temple. My peace is mine. No one enters without my permission. Takeaway for Lesson 10. Your peace is sacred. Make it non-negotiable. The moment your inner world is stable, manipulators can't anchor into anything. Their storm passes right through. Their tricks dissolve before reaching you, because you no longer dance with disturbance. You sit in the temple of your own clarity. Live aligned, not approved. Imagine a compass. No matter how the wind blows, the compass needle always points true north. Now imagine a weather, vane spinning, twisting, changing direction based on every breeze. One lives by alignment. The other lives by approval. Too many of us are living like weather vane spinning, in search of validation, shifting ourselves just to be accepted. But Buddhism teaches, your work is to discover your world, and then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. Alignment is not about perfection. It's about truth. It's about waking up each day and asking, am I living in integrity with who I really am? Or am I performing for an audience that never truly sees me? Approval is a moving target. When you seek to be liked, you become easy to control. When you live aligned, you become unshakable. Approval can be withdrawn, applause can fade, but alignment, it becomes a current that carries you even when no one is watching. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to be faithful to your path. Takeaway for the bonus lesson. Approval is addictive. Alignment is liberating. The moment you stop needing to be liked, you start becoming who you were always meant to be. Final recap. The 11 teachings that liberate you from manipulation. Let's anchor this journey with a clear remembrance of the 11 lessons. Build a strong identity. Without knowing yourself, you'll become who others want you to be. Practice emotional self-control. Reactions are how they control you. Master your response. Take full control of your mind. Unexamined thoughts are open doors to manipulation. Step away when necessary. You don't heal in the place that hurt you. Think strategically, not emotionally. They play on your feelings. You win by clarity. Reclaim the power of silence. Silence unsettles manipulators more than any argument. Detach from outcomes. Neediness is control's best friend. Let go to be free. Master non-reaction. Stillness is your shield. Reaction is their hook. See through illusion. Most manipulation wears a mask. Learn to see it. Strengthen your inner refuge. Build peace so deeply inside that no one can steal it. Live aligned, not approved. When you stop performing for the world, you start living for your truth. A message from the enlightened mind. If you felt something awaken in you today, if even one sentence touched your soul dont, let it pass like a breeze. Let it become practice. Reflect in the comments. What's one lesson from this video that you're ready to live? Share this with someone who's lost in someone else's game and help them reclaim their inner peace. Subscribe to the Enlightened Mind for more wisdom rooted in Buddhist teachings, mindfulness, and soul transformation. Remember, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are awakening. And when you reclaim your truth, manipulation loses its shadow. Walk gently, walk clearly, walk free. May you walk in peace, rooted in self, and forever beyond the reach of control.